Be warned that once you pick up a refreshingly cold drink from McDonald's and people see just how refreshingly cold that drink from McDonald's is, you may create drink envy. Because there are drinks, then there are drinks from McDonald's.
For a morning brew that really creates a stir, get any size iced coffee, including caramel and French vanilla, for just 99 cents before 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
There are moments in life that are so special that you have to capture them and save them forever. They are one of those once-in-a-lifetime events, like your baby's first steps, the first time you bring your family pet home, or your daughter's first dance performance. With iPhone 15 Pro, more storage means you don't have to delete anything that can become a lasting memory one day. And it's important to be able to share these moments with family members who weren't there to see them in person. Store more, share more. Connect with iPhone 15 Pro on AT&T. Get iPhone 15 Pro on AT&T and get an iPad and Apple Watch for 99 cents per month each. AT&T. Connecting changes everything. Limited time offer. Requires 0% APR 36-month agreement on each. Well-qualified customers. Other terms and restrictions apply. See att.com/iPhone for details.
You're listening to 100 Words or Less with Ray Harkins.
Welcome one, welcome all to this beautiful podcast in which we talk about independent music. And this show in particular, we're talking about festival season, as it were, because, you know, we're in the absolute middle of it. I personally just got back from the Outbreak Festival in the UK. Unbelievable time, unbelievable festival. Sound and Fury just happened. We got This Is Hardcore that's right around the corner. And I'm speaking today to Scott Lee, who, for those keeping track, he is a return guest, but he is one of the proprietors and, people involved in putting together the New England Metal and Hardcore Festival. And I had the privilege and honor of attending last year, doing some interviews. And I mean, it was amazing because for many years it lied dormant and they brought it back last year. This year is unreal as far as the lineup. Like, we have Killswitch Engage celebrating their 25th anniversary. There's Converge, Nails, Terror, Bane, Bleeding Through, The Red Chord, Incendiary. Just go to metalandhardcorefest.com and drool over the lineup. Plus, it's going to be the triumphant return of Year the Knife. They're going to be playing their first show back since the horrific accident that they went through. And I'm incredibly excited. So I had to have Scott on because not only is he involved with this festival, but he is also a manager of many bands like Currents, Kubla Khan, and many, many more. And I love him as a human being, but I love his perspective because, he kind of sees the music business, as it were, from all sides of the story, so to speak. So, had to have Scott on because we talked a lot about festivals and just like how bands should approach it. And it was very, very engaging and fun. And you obviously need to get tickets for Metal and Hardcore Fest. So just go to that website, metalandhardcorefest.com, and enjoy that lineup and then buy tickets and spend some time in the fall in Worcester, Mass. You can visit the Polar Seltzer headquarters. I drove by there last year and, there's no tours or anything, but, Polar Seltzer, let's be honest, the best of all seltzers. Anyways, a little personal update. This week, I'm going under surgery, under the knife, as it were, taking care of some issues I've been having with my throat. Going to be doing some cleaning in there, and I'm going to be on vocal rest. So I'm still publishing episodes because obviously I'm recording this stuff in advance, but well wishes. And I appreciate those of you who have reached out and said, hey, is your voice okay? Sounds a little raspy, you sound sick. And he was able to get to the bottom of it. And so I'm going to be doing that and, take vocal rest for about 4 or 5 days. And then, I should be good to go, which I'm excited to do that. Because, I haven't been put underneath anesthesia since I was 7 years old. So it's 30 plus years. Anyways, so that's a personal note. And if you want to reach out to the show, 100wordspodcast@gmail.com. Love to hear feedback, questions, concerns, all that stuff. The inbox is open, so to speak. And if you are feeling so generous and kind, leave a rating and review on Spotify, leave a rating on Spotify, leave a rating and review on the Apple Podcast page. All of those things help out tremendously, and I pay attention to it personally. And I appreciate that. And that costs you $0, 15 seconds of your time. Boom. Then you're doing that for like the 10 other podcasts you listen to. And then, then you've completed your homework assignment. Anyways, let's talk to, oh my gosh, I was almost going to forget my weekly recommendation. I've been keeping this humming along, so to speak, basically just sharing new music because I get such great feedback on our year-end episodes where we're, wrapping up our favorite music. And I just want to do that on a weekly basis. So there's a link in the show notes to a playlist that I'm continually adding all of the music that I'm recommending over the course of the entire year. And so whether or not you obviously listen to every episode, that does not matter. If you just dip into the playlist, you're able to hopefully check out all of the music that I've recommended this year. And this week's recommendation is a band from Australia I have been obsessed with ever since I first heard them, which was, maybe it was like 2011, 2012. Anyways, the band is called Cerces, Cerces. They ostensibly broke up. Like they just really weren't an active band for better part of like 6-7 years. And they just put out a single with 2 new songs. I always find it weird, but I'm like, it's a single, but like, that's what you did when there was, the music industry was what it was. Anyways, it's 2 new songs from Cerces. The single is called Humming. It's incredible. If you are a fan of bands like, Jimmy Eat World, Promise Ring, all that sort of stuff, like, Midwestern emo, but obviously updated, it is a band that you will absolutely enjoy. And I celebrate their entire catalog. So if you listen to these songs and you're like, I want more, there's, I want to say 2 EPs and a full length. Great band. So shout out to Cerces for coming back and gracing us with new music. So check them out. Anyways, let's talk to Mr. Scott Lee from the New England Metal and Hardcore Festival and SL Management, and just a great friend. You're obviously back for another year. Reflecting on last year, because obviously I was, you were kind enough to invite me out there and watching it. It really, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt, but it really did feel like, the quote unquote good old days. Like people were in such good spirits. Like the bands enjoyed themselves. Like it seemed so cool. I know that you probably are going to agree with me, but like, did it feel weird to kind of come back and have that sort of rapturous response to the festival? Or were you like, no, I kind of felt like this was going to happen this way?
I thought it had the means to being that way, but I didn't know what to expect. I mean, here's the thing, like, this is the first time that we did dual stages across from each other. And this is we did, the year before we did Tattoo the Earth, and we had a smaller stage in the back corner parking lot area of, the parking lot. And this year, so we didn't know how this was going to lay out. We didn't know how people were going to react to it. We didn't know that. And then we looked at it after it was all set up and how, and we're like, this is going to work. This is going to be sick. This is going to be awesome. And people were really stoked about it because all they had to do is like turn around from one stage to the next stage, one stage to the next stage, and see, like, it worked out really well. And I think, so that, the logistics of it were great. I think the vibe was great. I think there were some things that, we learned from last year, making different formulas and stuff, like, doing certain things a different way, like how we're going to arrange different things or add different things. You know what I mean? It's like, we just think, and so I think the experience itself, I was very pleased with and very happy with. And there was like, I think we can do better this year, and we're going to try, and we're going to try to make it better every year we can do. We're going to do this, and like, I love the process of setting this all up, and I love the process of getting this out to the world, and like, I think we put together a hell of a lineup this year. I think we did a hell of a lineup last year, but I think this one's a lot bigger and better. And, I think, 25th anniversary of Killswitch Engage, they're old as fuck, just like me. So it's going to be a good time. I think just excited about that in general, but the vibe last year was awesome, and I didn't expect it to be that way, but I thought it could be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally does. And whether or not it's like people are more, interested / excited to go to festivals, like it definitely felt, especially too, like experiencing it, back in the, aughts and late, or early tens, I guess, or whatever you call it. But experiencing it back then, like you had such a fun cross section of people who were, true metalheads, like going to, maybe like 5 or 6 gigs a year and then really excited to go to this. And then you had your people who were, just tried and true, general Boston area hardcore kids. Like, and it felt like such a, marriage of convenience in a good way, as opposed to like, I mean, I know like way back in the day, there was this real dividing line between, metal and hardcore, but like last year in particular, it definitely felt where it's just like, no, like everybody's here just because they like heavy music, regardless of whether you're a hardcore kid or a metal kid. Like everybody's there for all the same reasons,
Yeah. Yeah. I think also there's like, I think everybody's outgrown the box, if that makes any sense to you. Like, I think there's a lot of like, there was always a divide, like the metal kids versus the hardcore kids, you know what I mean? And back in the day, we used to do shows that were like crossover-y and there'd be fights and people talk shit, blah, blah, blah. But like nowadays, I think one, all the older people have grown out of that bullshit. 2, I think there's the younger people, the younger generation coming up has no box and doesn't care and are open-minded to see older bands and younger bands and want to learn and want to see, it's like, I think that's going to be, the whole like scene, as you call it, or whatever you want to say, there's no more box to it. Does that make sense? Like, you get what I'm saying there?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I think it, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just going to ask you, like you said, you really enjoy the process of, planning and doing all of the logistics and getting bands involved and all that sort of stuff. But if I were to put you on the spot in regards to like your favorite part in either planning or putting on the festival, do you have a response for that? Or is it kind of just like, well, it's tough because I like 90% of the aspects of it? What peaks its head above the rest?
Like doing it with good people. That's one thing, like planning the whole thing. I do it with Justin Leach from Mass Concerts, who, I love him to death. He's my homie. And like, we work on this together. There's other people involved with it. Like, Eric Powell, he helps me out, with some things with this, and just working with good people and working with the agents, and like, majority of these agents, my friends, and that's the process of it. Just getting the bands, working with the bands, doing things, and just being involved with that area. But also just like watching the whole thing portray, and watching the people get excited about the show. Watching that makes me happy as well. The whole component of it, just putting together, being a workaholic and making things happen. I just love this whole process of everything. Whether watching the crowd response to last year with Lamb of God playing, it was just amazing to me. That was like, okay, cool. We did this. This is awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. And staff at the Palladium, that the outdoor staff and the, and the people at Off the Rails and everybody that's working with this whole thing are all great people, and they enjoy it, and they've been through, Metal Fest past or just shows in general. And they're fans of the music, and it just makes the vibe so much better and everything. So the whole grand process I love, and just also the people's reaction, the oh shit moments of like watching the people get excited about things, watching the pit, watching everything like that.
Yeah.
So the whole fucking thing.
Right. Yeah. And that is, I know, like the few years that I did Sound and Fury, like some, when you're in the middle of all that work, like sometimes it's really hard to see the forest from the trees, so to speak. But everything of what you're talking about, where it's like those little moments, whether it's like a person, like I always really enjoyed sitting at like the ticket table. So where, it was just checking people in and, getting if someone was buying day of or whatever, and then meeting all of these people from all across the world, that is so, that reminded me of why it was that I was doing what I was doing. And I'm sure you get that same experience where it's just like being able to like look out of this thing and feel like, not in an egotistical way, but like, hey, the reason everybody's here is because of, this little old me or whatever. And like, you just feel like you're the master of ceremonies, but no one, I mean, everybody knows you, Scott, obviously, but like no one knows, like, generically, where it's like, oh, who did this? So it's just, Metal Fest, obviously.
It's great when I sit there and like, wait a minute, Ray, I'm not little, for one. There's no little old
true.
Scott.
That's true. I will always refer to you as little old Scott. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, man, I just want, part of my life is just solving problems and trying to make people happy, and it's like, you're never going to make everybody happy. I gave up on that, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. I'm going to, we tried to put together the best show with, that we can do, and try to make it all work. But I look back and like looking at this going, it's so cool. This is awesome. I booked Suicidal Tendencies and Machine Head and Converge and Bane and As Like Dying and Nails and Overkill and After the Burial and such and such and such. And it's like, he's like, God damn, that's so sick to me. I love that. This is amazing. So I do pat myself on the back, but I pat myself on the back when it's all over with. That's the other thing too. That's totally what you got it.
Yeah, exactly. There's something that I learned at a very early age in going to shows. Merch is so important. Not only is it important for like touring bands, but it's important for these bands to have a way to make money when they are not touring, when they're writing their new records and all that stuff. That is where rockabilia.com fits into the equation. I don't care if you're into bands like, Metallica, Slipknot, Bring Me the Horizon, or if you're into, like mainstream rock stuff, whether it's like Judas Priest or Sublime or whatever. Rockabilia.com has you covered. Use this promo code 100 words or less. It's 10% off of your entire order. Ships from the Midwest here in the United States, independently owned and operated company, and all the bands get paid. This is incredibly important. There are so many bootleg stuff happening right now. And I'll be honest, like there are times where, I purchase the bootleg because, frankly, it's just a better design than anything a band has ever put out. But Rockabilia sources all the best stuff from all of your favorite bands, houses it in one place, ships it to you lickety split. And I just love the company and what they do. Their ethics and credo just rings true. They've been in business for over 30 years, and I love to support businesses like that. So go to rockabilia.com, shop to your heart's content, and use the promo code 100 words or less. That's the number 100. Rockabilia.com. Do it now. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know what it's like. You're just rolling through your day. Everything's fine. All of a sudden, you look at your phone, pop into some social media app, and then boom, you're just assaulted with all of these things that frankly weren't bumming you out before. And then you're like, you know what? I'm not as good as this person. I'm not at this point in my life versus this person that's like 10 years younger than me. And then you just start to spiral. It's bad. First of all, put your phone away. Second of all, a great resource is therapy. It is a perfect place for you to be able to disconnect from all of that external noise that influences the way you feel about yourself. I love therapy. I've done it for many years, and I wholeheartedly endorse that practice. And that's why I love working with BetterHelp. Because if you're thinking of starting therapy, please give BetterHelp a try. It's all online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire, and then you get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for zero additional charge. Stop comparing yourself to others and start focusing on yourself with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Ray today to get 10% off of your first month. That's betterhelp.com/Ray. Try it out. Kind of on the flip side, where I think I asked you some version of this in the past, but I want to get a little more granular, where when it doesn't have to be specifically attached to the festival, but like, what were, some of the mistakes that you made initially in planning either shows or obviously like when you first started to put like larger festivals together? And I ask this not to like embarrass you, but it's just like, those are the moments. Yeah. Those are the moments where you really learn something. So do you have anything that kind of sticks out when I bring that up?
Yeah, man. The first year we did Metal Fest, we forgot to give fucking wristbands. We had to give fucking zip ties and give people zip ties to differentiate people. And there were some friends of mine who were out in the parking lot giving people zip ties that they had in their truck just to get people in for free. That was because we didn't do festivals then. We were, so, it's 1999. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. There was no formulas or nothing. We're just like, I went to the Milwaukee Metal Fest. I'm like, I could do this too. Yeah. And that's basically what happened. There's stuff like that. There's like, just understanding that bands can't set change in 10 minutes. Understanding like, that like stupid things like that. I think there's a lot of like, growing pains in booking it, looking at it like how we're going to do this, how this band's going to pull, how many times has this band been in the area of this, just booking is smarter. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of things that come into play where I think people get upset about ticket prices and everything like that. I think that's one thing that we try to do the best we can with. Like I said, we're never going to make everybody happy, but looking at ticket prices, doing that, trying to make that affordable, but also make it so we can, make it work for everybody. That's one thing that I think that we're looking at in the past, making it better. I also think, production wise, what we're doing, like making it feel different, making it feel like a festival, that's one thing we grew into. Like last year we had banners everywhere doing different things, activations, like last year we did the museum. We had an activation with that with, Mike D from Kill Switch and Jeremy Saffer. This year we're going to have some type of activation. We're trying to figure that out right now, but we're going to do something like making things, making it a fun place for people to go, having a chill area where it's like, you're not having bang, 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 like music at you all the time. There's a place you can go watch music from TVs and have some drinks and hang out. Just different things to make this a better time for people. So to answer your question, the biggest problem we've ever had was we forgot wristbands. And then one year we had a problem where the city of Worcester had to, we're doing a test on the power grid and we lost power in the block of the Palladium for 2 hours during that fest. So, and we had to abandon ship on a bunch of bands and it was a nightmare. But we got through it.
Yeah, that does sound like a nightmare. I was going to ask you too on that point, like obviously as a venue, like, people expect loud music and clearly you've had to probably develop relationships with, general city officials and stuff like that. And I always remember in regards to, and anytime you're doing a festival in a, off the beaten path area, whether it's a smaller city, like, Worcester, or whether it's like something that, is just, it's not meant to be like a loud music venue. So have you had to kind of, develop those relationships with people in the city to be like, hey guys, we're going to be doing this thing again and like, give them a heads up, or is it generally hands off because, you guys all have your permits and everybody knows what's up?
We do permits and everything like that. So it's all legal and everybody knows what's up basically. You know what I mean? And also, the neighbors know what's going on with they have, they know when the outdoor festival shows are going to happen and everything like that. So it's all in the up and up and everybody's kind of supportive in the whole thing. You know what I mean? And, from EMTs to police to city officials, So,
yeah, no, for sure. And that was like talking about mistakes. Like I definitely remember, I think it was, the first year that I had Sound and Fury, where just the idea of having an on-site EMT, like we didn't have that. And on our recap meeting with the actual, fairground venue people, they were like, so the ambulance got called like at least 40 times. So like next year we need to have an EMT. And it's just like, oh, I didn't think about that. But it's like, to your point of just being like, oh, all right. Yep. That's something we didn't consider, but it's like, you only know that sometimes after the fact, or to your point, if you don't have wristbands, you're like, whoops, we missed that one.
Yeah. We shouldn't have bet on that one. That's for sure. Like, I think we haven't made any major mistakes like that. Or anything like, it's still a concert venue. So it's always running like a concert venue where there's always a detail officer, always, EMTs on site and stuff like that. It's just, I think one of the things that, I've learned from going to so many festivals, what people do wrong or what people, how this is working. But I think there's the wristband thing is the only thing I can think of. To be honest with you.
No, that's an important one. On the topic of kind of, festivals in general, like there definitely has been, over the past, whatever, we'll call it 5 to 10 years, there has been this, resurgence of people's interest in festivals, whether it's like putting them on of all different shapes and sizes. And you obviously see the ones that, fall flat in their face where it's just like, oh gosh, that was a terrible plan, or, whatever the case may be. For you, if you were to point out like a festival that you are jealous of, so to speak, where you're just like, oh man, like I've been there, I love what they do. I want to give them flowers. Is there a festival that you kind of look at?
I just went to Sonic Temple and that was awesome. Furnace Fest is always a good time. They're great. I think there's there's a lot of the day I went to Blue Ridge, I had a good time. It was just raining and I was taking Europe. It's fine, but I understand why people are pissed. But I think Danny Wimber does a great job with his festivals. I think I think Furnace Fest is always a great time, like I said. I think there's Jamie did the Milwaukee Metal Fest this year and it was very successful. I didn't go to it, but people were telling me it was awesome. There's I think I look at things like it's like I don't know, the European festivals, I go, God damn, that's fucking looks so sick. There's 30,000 people there. That's awesome. You know what I mean? Yep. I think those are cool, but I don't know. I think what we do is, it's a smaller version of a European festival in the sense, but it's I'm happy with it. I think, it's very cool and everything, but I guess the one, I would go, oh man, that's so cool. It's Furnace Fest. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think that's the one I think it's it's a good time. It's I Sound and Fury, obviously too. You know what I mean? That's always fun.
Yeah.
I think, and I've been to that in years, but
yeah. No, I think that it is cool when you have a unconventional space and then you're able to make it work. Like Furnace Fest as an example, where it's just like that theoretically should never have happened there, but then it did, and they've made it work, and they've made it, build up into this really passionate fan base specifically of that festival. And so, when you have that backing of where it's just like, oh yeah, there's something that's different about it. It's usually the surroundings where that makes it, just a little bit more special than, just a random venue.
Yeah. I think it's, I think, one of the things that, that I when I went to Furnace Fest and went there and had a good time and watched how the people, the first year after COVID, when Furnace Fest came back, I watched all these people so happy and it was a great time. And there's not supposed to be a hardcore festival there. There's not. It's not supposed to work like that. You know what I mean?
Companies like evilgreed.net are the reason that I love punk and hardcore, broadly speaking. It's one of many reasons, but evilgreed.net is a web source solutions provider for bands and record labels. They're located in Berlin, Germany, but they basically sell heavy music, merchandise, and records. And I know that's a generic sort of explanation, but what they do is they have a very highly curated list of bands and record labels they work with, whether it's Triple B, whether it's Maggot Stomp, whether it's bands like Brutus or Wolf Brigade, or the list goes on. I could just sit here and just go through their entire website, but that would take up way too much of your time, and you'll have so much fun browsing this website. And they sell vinyl, sweatshirts, long sleeves, whatever it is you're in for, they have it. And I know I said Berlin, Germany, that might scare you off. Don't let it, because the shipping rates are very advantageous for us right now here in America. And if you're ordering 2 or 3 things, that pays for itself. So go to evilgreed.net, browse around, do some pre-orders, because there's some great pre-orders going on right now, whether it's a new Elder shirt or whether it's Spectral Wound. Oh my gosh, I love Spectral Wound. I just recently got into them. But anyways, they got a lot of stuff for you to poke around into. And trust me in saying, if you listen to this show, you absolutely will love what evilgreed.net has to offer. So check them out and let them know that this show sent.
This is Tracy V. Wilson from Stuff You Missed in History Class. When you're in the market for a new car, you want a vehicle that conquers your daily commute, easily handles the elements, and looks great too. You need the reliability of a Toyota and the confidence that your investment will last. Why? Because after all the carpools, shopping trips, and weekends out, you want a car that still has plenty of miles left in it and holds its value for a great trade-in deal. That's where Toyota leads the pack as the #1 resale value brand for 2024, according to Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com. So check out the all-new, fully redesigned 25 Camry or test drive a stylish and affordable Corolla sedan or hatchback. And remember, when you choose Toyota, you're not just buying a vehicle for today, you're investing in trade-in value for tomorrow. Visit buyatoyota.com, the official website for deals, for more. Vehicle's projected resale value is specific to the 2024 model year. For more information, visit Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com. Kelley Blue Book is a registered trademark of Kelley Blue Book Company, Inc. Toyota. Let's go places.
Kind of on a similar topic, and I know you've experienced this not only firsthand in booking the festival, but on the management side of things with the bands that you take care of. I know there isn't like a real simple or distilled answer to this, but in your opinion, why do you think hardcore in general, and that could be, you know, different variations, metalcore, etc. But why do you think hardcore is so, you know, in the spotlight now and so popular now? Because we're seeing it break through in ways that we never thought it would, where it's like, wow, I guess you can draw this many people. So, you know, I'm sure you've thought about it. Do you have, you know, thoughts about why it is hitting this moment right now?
Social media is a big version. Bands are writing better music these days. You know, music sounds better. And there's more outlets for people to discover music, you know what I mean? And discover bands. But social media and TikTok, man, that's one of the biggest things. That's one of the reasons why bands are getting bigger, you know what I mean? And looking at things, you know, and people are finding other bands, people are finding different things. And like, that's one of the major reasons. I think there's, you know, there's like, it's what it comes down to being social media. You know, that's what it comes down. Ray, when me and you were growing up, we're going to our local record store that has hardcore music, and we're like finding things and looking things. Oh, that's a cool cover. Or we're lucky. Maybe they have a promo copy that we can listen to. People nowadays don't have that. They can go to Spotify and what's this band sound? What do they sound like compared to this? Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that cover. You know what I mean? It's like, it's easier. It's more accessible. That's why the bands are getting bigger. It's making it, you know, the music fuck, man, people are more angry too nowadays. I think more or less too. You know,
that's true.
It's like, you know, they want to hear heavy music. They want to hear, you know, aggressive music. You know, people coming out of COVID and coming out of this thing, people just want to, you know, and I know COVID was years ago, but it's still like more aggressive. People want to hear more aggressive music, more heavier music. You know what I mean? Also more sonically better music. You know what I mean? So I think that the main reason is social media. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
and to that point too, it's something, I mean, because I've wrestled with this question in my own head as well, just because that's what you do when you get old. But just that idea of, even though this music is still, you know, aggressive and it is off-putting to many people that are just like, oh my gosh, they're yelling at me. Like this is, it becomes less foreign. Like even if you've just been exposed to it in the version of like, you know, hearing Metallica or, you know, hearing a mainstream metal band that isn't exactly like screaming, but they're yelling. And so it becomes a little less, you know, rubbing people the wrong way, where they're just like, oh yeah, this isn't for me, but I'm also like not as offended as what it would be, you know, 10 to 15 years ago, where it's like, oh my gosh, like this band's yelling at me. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Now people are like maybe a little desensitized to it, in the same way that like we can probably point to, you know, tattoos are not weird anymore. Tattoos are mainstream and it's totally fine.
Yeah. 100%. Used to be able to walk down the street and be like, "Ooh, that guy's got tattoos. He must listen. What's he got? He might listen to Madball. This might be cool. He might be my friend. You know what I mean? Like that type of shit. And like nowadays, it's just like, yeah, everybody's got tattoos. It's fine. It is what it is. But I think there's like, I have a friend of mine who's like didn't grow up on music, grew up as a jock, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm really like, I like Metallica, and I like all the different types of metal and hard rock, and I like Stained and like that stuff." I'm like, "You like Metallica?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, I go, "Did you ever listen to the old Metallica?" He's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "Look backwards, go back to Master of Puppets and back." And he's like, and he called me the next day. He's like, "I went down a rabbit hole. That's so heavy. What happened? Why do they do?" Now I'm like, now they're a rock band, man. They were a metal band. Now they're a rock band type of thing. Aggressive rock, but they're still, it's like, so, it's like, but I like the other stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's still aggressive music. It's still, you're learning from it, like, know your history, know your past, it's like, of these bands and of this music, it's like having Overkill on Metal Fest. It's like Overkill's been around for 30 fucking years, maybe more. And like, they're still killing it. They're still doing it, putting out records, doing this whole goddamn thing. And it's like people like, it's like people, Suicidal Tendencies the same way. It's like they've been doing this for a while. People need to look, and find out more about these older bands and the younger bands to look up to and stuff like that. I don't know. I think the whole thing of like to answer your question, the first question of this whole thing is like, why it's so bigger and everything like that. It's just, I think social media and people's intuition going into looking for music and stuff like that. I think music is bigger. I think that's the other thing too. I think that, whether it's extreme music or rock and roll or whatever, I mean, it's a whole bigger thing nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the way that you've always kind of thought about Metal Fest. A consistent theme is you being able to blend, the new and the old, where it's being able to pull the bands, either not even out of retirement, but like sometimes you do that, but just being like, hey, we can stack up, like you mentioned, Overkill alongside, Nails, and everybody's fine with it. And it's like, this is cool because exactly to your point, they're still killing it. Like, you don't want to put up a band that's like, oh, like, you're not really ready for this. Like, this isn't going to go well for you, but you're just like, no, you're still out there and doing it. Like, you're absolutely welcome because there's so much to be learned from your longevity. Like, every band wants to exist for a long time. So the fact you can point to it and blend both the old and new, I'm guessing is a very important part to why you put it together. Yeah,
it really is, because you have to have like, I want an old, this is what I like to get out of this. I want an old head to come in and go, man, I saw this band. They're called Disembodied Tyrant. It was great. It was awesome. But I went there to go see Overkill and to go see, Machine Head. You know what I mean? And I also want a young kid to go, I saw this band called Overkill, and go, they were pretty cool. You know what I mean? And this band Suicide Silence, and like, Suicidal Tendencies, excuse me, not Suicide Silence. They're not that old yet. But I mean, like,
right. They're working on it.
Yeah. They're working on it. And he's looking, no, I'm just kidding. So I think there's like I want that. That's how this scene works. More people teaching the younger people and older people opening themselves to newer music, and it's like, I want somebody to listen, to listen, like, to come see this and be like, whoa, Converge is fucking cool. I never saw Converge, but because I'm a metalhead, but I never gave them the chance because I always thought they were a hardcore band. But no, Converge is a fucking thrash band with, Jake Bannon vocals, crazy vocals. You know what I mean? That's what a lot of it is, and it makes sense for a lot of different reasons for a metalhead to like that,
Yeah. So. No, it's the ability to expose people. I mean, to your point, like, even though music is easily accessible to you have the entire recorded history of music in your pocket, but then that also gets you to a point where sometimes you're crippled by choice. And so for you to have this, curation lens where it's like, hey, being able to expose people that have written a band off because they're like, oh, this isn't for me. And then they see them and they're like, oh, maybe this is for me. And that's like, you can't, even though an algorithm could spit out, a similar band to you, it isn't until you get that right exposure level that's like, oh, yes, I do like this band.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like, I've watched people get excited about things and learn about new bands. And it's like, wow, that band's cool after watching them. You know what I mean? And that's awesome to me. That's a teaching moment, if that makes sense. Like you're learning more stuff about bands and music and everything like that. And it's like, music is fucking therapy, man. It really is. And it helps us get through hard times and makes us, good times even better. You know what I mean? So, like, I think, I don't know. I think also what you just said, everybody has a library of music in their pocket. That's also why music and heavier music has gotten bigger. You know what I mean? The accessibility.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Reflecting on, you obviously managing bands and being able to have watched bands experience festivals of all shapes and sizes, what do you think is maybe I wouldn't maybe call it a biggest mistake, but like a consistent mistake that bands make, like when they play festivals, whether or not it's a matter of like, tailoring their set to a festival or, not getting a backdrop or whatever. Like there's, a lot of different variables there. But what is something that you notice that if someone were to ask your advice on like, you got to make sure to do this at a festival, regardless of the size? Is there something that springs up to your mind?
Backdrop, one, making sure to always be on top. Like bands, just make sure they're, production and everything's on time with everybody, working with the the staff, the festival staff, doing all that. Just not treating it like a regular show, treat it like a major event. I think a lot of bands don't do that. You know what I mean? I think but I also think that, just making sure to, take advantage of everything with this. Go out in the crowd after you play. Go hang out. Go meet people. There's a shit ton of people that want to pat you on the back and go, hey, what's up? Go have a beer with somebody. Have a Coke with somebody or whatever. Just have fun. Go take advantage of the whole festival, what they have to offer from it. I don't think people do that. I don't think bands do that. I think they just go, cool, good, done. The younger bands, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to get, punished if you're an older band and been around and you're a bigger band. I understand that. But for the younger bands, just go and take advantage of it. Go shake hands, say thank you, blah, blah, blah. People love your band, That's what I think people need, band members need to do. It only makes you bigger too.
No, it's true. And yeah. I mean, but people, I always laugh and think about the advice that people gave to bands on Warped Tour, where it was like, just walking around selling your CDs and stuff, like just that tangible moment that you're talking about where, the band member is by their merch and just, meets a person, has like, a 5-minute conversation. And then at that point, that person is attached to that band for life because they're like, oh dude, they're just like me or whatever. And so I think it's,
100%. It's like, I've watched, had bands on Warped Tour and like Warped Tour. Thank you, Kevin Lyman. Kevin Lyman in Warped Tour has made it so bands can, learn from, mistakes and do everything. And, Kevin, I wish the Warped Tour was still around. That was awesome. But that's how you learn back in the day. If you're a band coming up, you're like, you gotta do signings, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta meet people, you gotta do this whole thing, and whether you like it or not, you gotta do it. You gotta walk a quarter of a mile to the signing. Kevin Lyman did so much for music, for heavy music, for punk rock music, for all, extreme music, whatever you want to call it. But he did so much for that with Warped Tour, and people learned from Warped Tour, and people that worked Warped Tour became, bigger and better in the production world from that. Hats off to Kevin Lyman and that whole Warped Tour staff forever and a day. It's like, I think they're great people, but you learn how to do that from when you did Warped Tour. Going out there and taking advantage, meeting the fans and doing the whole thing, whether you didn't take a shower, whether blah, 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 it's part of the whole game. That's what I think people need to take. When you're playing a festival and you're a younger band, take advantage of every scenario you can with it. And also make sure to have a fucking backdrop.
Yeah, totally. Put yourself out there.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to hit on was the idea of the sustainability, like what you're talking about, with your mindfulness of ticket prices and being able to balance the fact like, hey, we want to make sure this thing, continues and make sure that like we continue, like you articulated before, that we learn from, improving it year over year.
Mm-hmm.
Is it one of those things where you find, because we joked about it earlier, but like, you're getting older, the idea of being like, oh, I got to rally and, do the festival again. Like, how do you kind of think about the sustainability of the festival and then obviously of your own self as well? Like, is that something that, goes through your head?
No, not yet.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
It's like, I think I'm going to live to 150. I don't know.
That's good.
I think that's maybe, hopefully not. I think one of the things is like just having everything, that's like, if I don't love the process anymore, I'm not going to do it. That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
And it's like, and that's one of the reasons, it's basically, I quit booking for a while, and that's why it stopped. You know what I mean? That's why it didn't happen for a while. And then I came back to this whole thing, and the lovely people at Mass Concerts, working with me on this, it's like, I think loving the process, making that all work. I mean, if I don't love it, I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and also I'm a firm believer in like, if I can't do it physically or mentally, then I'm not going to fucking do it. And so it'll shit the bed, So it's like, I think there's, somebody will tell me, you shouldn't do this anymore. And I'm like, you're right.
Yeah. Well, and you also, you've struck me for as long as I've known you. You're the type of person that has always been, you're only as good as the people that surround you. Like you've never seemed like that. Yes, there's a controlling nature of people that put on these sort of things, but you're always that person where it's like, oh yeah, you handle this thing and I trust you to do this and I'm not going to micromanage you. And so like it seems like that's been your habit for as long as I've known you and what you continue to do.
Yeah. I mean, having good people around you to do this stuff, I'm like, I'm just one person, but there's a bunch of people that work with me on this whole thing. It's like, and like, you have to trust, you have to work with them in the sense too, so
yeah,
that's part of it, but
even though I said that was the last question, this is the last question. What would you Yeah. Well, what would you say is like a, sort of undiscovered gem in the area? So like whether it's something that like, hey, people should pay attention to, it doesn't even have to be like touristy or whatever, but something that, you've consistently seen people either enjoy or something that you think is off the beaten path that someone wouldn't, think of doing while they're in the general Worcester area. You got anything that springs to your mind with that?
No. Oh my God, I don't.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm trying to think of something.
Yeah.
Well, there's a good amount of restaurants around that are awesome. There's a whole thing on the website where, restaurants and stuff like that, but damn.
It's fine.
Cool to do.
Yeah.
Nothing
you can, no, it's no problem. You can definitely drive by the Polar Seltzer factory. They don't have any tours.
The bear. You gotta see the bear. You gotta salute the bear every time you go by. Coming from Western Mass, I drive by that and go home, go to the Palladium, give it a little salute, because of honk the horn or whatever. But there's that, and there's also what else was there? There's another thing that's from Worcester that's the pies, the little pies. I forgot the name of the. God damn it!
Is it Little Debbie?
God. Nope, not Little Debbie. It's son of a. Oh my God, I can't remember it.
It's
Um,
fine.
it's fine. It doesn't matter. But no, I mean, Worcester's a great place. I mean, a lot of good restaurants, a lot of, it's fun. It's safe. That's another thing. Yeah, it's like, can't think of anything like to go do, like,
Yeah.
but
It's just a good, yeah, no, it's just, it's a good vibe town. And like, it definitely is, slept
oh,
on. Oh, go ahead.
I forgot to, I forgot a festival to mention. Fuck. I'm sorry. I wanted to talk about This Is Hardcore too. That was another festival that I've been to that's run really well. I just thought about that because I was like, what festivals I've been to? Oh, I went to This Is Hardcore and I went to the prison and went to the Rocky Steps and that was really cool. I'm like, oh man, I forgot to mention This Is Hardcore.
Yeah. No, that's fine. We will definitely give This Is Hardcore and Joe his flowers because yes, and I think to that idea too. It's like when festivals develop a certain personality where it's like an angle rather than just like like I love it when festivals like pop up in places that are unexpected, whether it's like, tied down in Detroit, is starting to have a personality where they're, taking it seriously, booking larger bands. And I think that's what makes festivals a little bit longer lasting because they do have a personality. And that's like, oh yeah, like you see the point of view in which they're coming from.
Oh yeah. Like Tie Down was great. That lineup was amazing. That was a great lineup. They did a great job with that. And like Joe always does a great job in Philly with This Is Hardcore.
Yep.
I mean, that's a great town. Philadelphia, fuck, man, that place is great. I love going there.
And it's funny, not to interrupt your train of thought, but it's funny too, because there are certain festivals in which like you would be able to book a band that would do so well in just that particular area. But then if you try to do that anywhere else, no one would care, good or bad. But it's just like, that's like, This Is Hardcore definitely has that in their wheelhouse where it's like, oh yeah, they would crush it. This band would crush it. This is hardcore. But if they played anywhere else, it'd be like, nope, that's not going to work. And it's like, I love that.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I think Joe's definitely carved a niche for himself over there with that. It's a good time. And Joe's a great guy too. He's a really good guy. I like Joe a lot. I like Joe a lot.
Put in the work.
Yeah, I invite him to come to Metal Fest every year, and he's come once or twice. I don't remember, but he's a great guy.
He's got to do construction, so he can't. He doesn't have time for your festival.
There you go. He's a hard-working man. It's blue collar Joe Hardcore. There you go.
Exactly. Well, I am. I'm thrilled that the festival seems to just be humming at the appropriate level, and I'm excited to go back there. And obviously everybody should go there because they get to see a bunch of great bands.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm really excited for the lineup. Between Killswitch Engage, Slaughter to Prevail, Suicide's Tendencies, Machine Head, Converge, Bane, As I Dying, Nails, fucking Nails, new song, Nails, holy shit. And it's like, I think there's, a lot of great younger, but the other thing that I liked about, the festival is having the small hardcore room and having that room just be packed out and like people going nuts for different bands and stuff. Like last year, crowning moment last year was watching Ringworm in the small room at like 3:00 in the afternoon. It was so much fun watching that. I loved it. It was great. It was so packed out. It was such a good time, and then, and just, I don't know. I just love that room so much.
There we go. That was Scott Lee. And like I said, go to New England Metal and Hardcore Festival. I've been for many years and it never ceases to impress. And they have this really, really cool setup now where it's like 2 stages outside. They have like a more intimate, I don't know, like 400 or so cap inside space. And that's usually where more of the, hardcore, metal hardcore bands play. It's going to be so much fun. Like, I mean, we're going to see Integrity in that room. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. So go to New England Metal and Hardcore Festival because it's going to be super fun. And shout out to Scott Lee for being just the best. I love him as a human being and I love to talk to him. And hopefully you learn some stuff. And like maybe you're in a band and you're like, oh man, I never thought about how we can, up our festival game. So that's what we got this week. Next week is a person who I admire from afar. I had never met him. His name is Joseph Grillo. He plays currently in a band called Her Head's on Fire, plays in a band called Garrison, or played in a band called Garrison. He also played in Instruction, which was the short-lived sort of post-hardcore band from Tom Capone from Quicksand. And Joe has just lived a life within independent music. He also, has some affiliation with Iodine Records, and he's just a great dude and a very insightful and intelligent person. So had to have him on the show because Her Head's on Fire just released a new record, and they're doing the thing. And he's, an old dude and still feels really compelled to play music, and that's important. So Joseph Grillo from Garrison and Her Head's on Fire next week on the pod. Until then, please be safe, everybody. The show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Trust me in saying that no matter who you are, mental health challenges can affect you, and how you manage them can make all of the difference. That's why everyone should have access to mental health support that meets them where they are and helps them get through. BetterHelp provides online therapy on your schedule. It's flexible, simple to use, and more affordable than in-person therapy. Connect with a licensed therapist selected just for you. Learn more at betterhelp.com. That's betterhelp.com.
This is Tracy V. Wilson from Stuff You Missed in History Class. Toyota is the best resale value brand for 2024, according to Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com. So choose a Toyota and get the confidence that your vehicle will retain its value year after year, ride after ride. And check out the all-new 25 Camry or test drive a stylish and affordable Corolla. Find out more at buyatoyota.com. Vehicles' projected resale value is specific to the 2024 model year. For more information, visit Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com. Kelley Blue Book is a registered trademark of Kelley Blue Book Company, Inc. Toyota, let's go places.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.